Having those creative stamped images that can be used as iconic backgrounds are super important when you're creating those backgrounds for your cards, whether you're making shape cards or even altered pieces. Today I'm excited to share with you some beautiful tips and techniques that you can use with the Moments in Time collection. So join me and we'll have some fun learning how to use these together. To get started, we're going to be using the Simple Moments timepiece. This is a beautiful, iconic piece that will be used in many different ways, and we're going to start with coloring. Then we'll get all into the fun of layering and adding the beautiful dimensional texture to this. So to get started, to color this, I really color it very quickly and easily with some sponge daubers. So we're going to do this clock face for this one, and then we'll move into doing the base for this clock, which is more of an altered piece. So to get started, I'm doing just a little bit of rose madder, and just make sure that you're doing just a soft coloring around the edges, kind of in a circular motion. And I did this for quite a few of the samples that you see. This is the technique that would have been used with it. So you can use multiple colors just coming together to create that beautiful kind of pinkish color in there. Then you can switch to the green. I'm using rose madder and olive for this one. So just go in and kind of blend those colors together. So it's a pretty quick way to add that color to your clock faces and really embellish it after you're finished coloring with the glitters and the accent pieces. So for the more distressed look, I started out with this base using a buttercup, completely covered the entire base after I had stamped it with gold ink and gold embossing powder. So to go in and fill in the rest of this, I used the Paradise Teal. And this is a color combination that is super pretty. It's very, very fun, and I don't think we've ever used it together on a project before, but it was just such a beautiful combination. So once you've added the yellow, added a little bit of Paradise Teal, you can go back with the olive, and that gives it more of that vintage touch to it. So go back, add that to that clock, the outer edges, and then we're ready to go back, stack, and have some fun with it. So we'll finish this piece first, and then we'll move into adding all the elegant pieces and elements to the outer edge of this piece. The Simple Moments timepiece can be used as a shaped card base, and you get to choose how many stacks and layers you want to do, or you can also layer it to a card. So to create this one was a very simple shaped card pattern where we ran the die through. Just make sure that there is a little bit of an extension on the edge here so it doesn't cut off the fold piece. Just pull this off once it's cut out, and that will create your card base for this specific one. So just go ahead, pull all those pieces off, and then since this is a little bit mall shaped on the edge because you want to have that fold there, you're going to go ahead and have another piece that you're going to just glue on top. So go ahead, add your glue to this card base, and just glue a matching piece right on top, and that will create a full card base that is super, super pretty, and that gets you started. Now, what I love about this specific card is it was inspired by one of our design team members that created this one. What I love about it is combining the gold and silver luxe cardstock, which is really pretty. So when you layer this, now when you stamp on this cardstock, make sure you use a permanent ink like Stays On, or you can always test it out on a scrap piece of paper if you're not sure if you have an ink that works. If it doesn't work, it's going to smudge very quickly and you'll be able to see. So that's what we used on ours, is just a Stays On ink. Just go ahead and add that to the top and just glue that down. Once that's finished, we added a stamped silver layer. This one was three-dimensional. Now you get to choose if you want to add three-dimension or not on all of these layers, but I think it's a really pretty way to just quickly layer this up. And then once you've done the silver layer, you'll revert back and do the gold layer. Now the die has lots of circles in it that will cut out those different layers plus some timepieces for the center. So you'll just continue to layer these pieces. Just make sure you have the 12 at the top, unless you want to have some fun and turn the clock upside down and mess with your friends. So we're going to go ahead and just add this next layer, which was the stamped on cardstock, and all of these layers have some foam dots on the top of them. So this is pretty just like this, but if you want to add an extra fun piece and element, you can have a hinged kind of window at the top, and to create that one, you'll bring in your extra dimensional clock hands. This has a thin layer. Actually, here's a little tip. This has a thin layer of foam, which is really difficult to peel off, as you can see. But if you wanted to add dimension, you want it to be pretty easy to do, what you can do is just go ahead and, actually I'm going to use hot glue because that's going to adhere really fast. But just go ahead and cut out a bunch of these hands and glue them on top of each other so you have like cardstock layers. It's a little bit easier to layer on top of each other than just using foam dots. But you can choose whichever way you want to go with it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the second piece. Just add that hot glue. You could even just use hot glue and just have some dimension that way too. Now once you're finished doing that, you're going to go ahead, take your clear circle, use one of our hinge dies and hinge that around the back of the opening. So you're going to go ahead and glue it in the front. So I'm just going to use hot glue for this so that it closes and bonds instantly. So you're going to go ahead and just add this. Doesn't really matter which side you put it on. Just fold that over, put it on top of the clock, and wrap that around the back, and you automatically have that hinge piece that is ready to add to the top of this clock, which I absolutely love. So you'll go ahead and add this to the top, and then you can go back and you can embellish that in whatever way you want, with roses, flowers, and just finish that up. To create those vintage effects, we're going to go ahead and add those next using these little prills. You can use whichever colors you like, but just wanted to show you really quickly how those were added. This is kind of like your stopwatch. It has the clock face on one side. You could add a little chain. So it's just lots of fun ways to add different elements and do different altar projects with these if you choose to do so. So if you want to go ahead and add some like little beads and prills and all of that fun, I don't like to call it gunk, but it's just a fun way to just add some extra embellishments to this and really make it look very realistic. So I'm going to start out with my first set of prills. Let's bring these in so you can see them. We'll just put them on, shake them off. If you don't like where they're landing, you can always add more, or you can brush it off with just like the tip of a pin or whatever you have handy that you can kind of move it. So we're going to go ahead and add a little mixture of some of more of a darker teal color. We have some of these colors individually online, or you can also buy them in sets, which is super fun too. So go ahead and add a little bit of, let's add a little bit more glue up in this section. And then I'm going to add a little bit of a mixture of green. And I'm not covering the entire section with the green, and I'm going to go back in with a little bit of a gold color. So it just adds some nice texture and dimension. Once you're finished with that, you can go back and you can use your crystal lacquer. Hopefully the crystal lacquer is not plugged. Sometimes those tips can be plugged. Nope, it's all good. And then you can just coat it with crystal lacquer. Now once it has the crystal lacquer on it, you can go on top of these items that you have just added. It won't look very clear in the beginning. It will clear up once it's dried, but just put that over the top. Once it's dry, it will become super clear and it will be completely locked in to the base. So let's take a look at some more beautiful samples of what you can do with this collection. The samples you can create with a Moments in Time collection are amazing. So with this collection, you have a timepiece sentiment that also coordinates with this die. So it gives you these sentiments that you can also put in the inside or use separately if desired. The other stamp set that is so timeless is the Elegant Moments timepiece. This one is so pretty, can be cut out many different ways, and I can't wait to show you how these interact. There's 6 pieces in here, plus these little clock hands and ways that you can cut them out. So here we go. Here are just some different samples of how you can color these, how you could add them to a card. You can also use it for photos. So this was tied together more like a little mini album, which is very pretty, but I love how it utilizes the sentiments, the clock face, and the pictures on that one. So you can really use your creativity, whether you're wanting to do the cards, you can tuck it in with other flowers, or you can just create these beautiful embellishments like this one opens up. It's a very similar version to what we did with a chain that has a sentiment, which is super pretty. Here's another one using one of the gate cards. It had a ribbon that was tied in the front. You open it up, you have the beautiful papers in the background paired with the sentiment in the middle of this one. And then the online class we'll be teaching with this one will also showcase a beautiful layout, really using those timepieces in the background paired with this. I love the photo. It's kind of a shaker photo in there. Speaking of that online class, we'll also be teaching this beautiful project. So you'll be learning how to do an altar piece with a shaker element. You can use it for photos. You can use it with the clock face, and it's going to be a little holder, which is so pretty. So there's lots of ways. Here's another one that we created with the flowers on the inside. Love how that clock face was cut out. So lots of beautiful ways to use that. And here's another close-up look of this one. This one's just spectacular, designed by Linda. She did a fabulous job on that. Now, the Elegant Moments timepiece is so pretty in how you can utilize this one. This is the classic look. Here's one where I love how it opens like an aperture in the center of the card. And then there's different ways that we've cut out the clock piece. Like here, there's a shaker in the background. So really use your creativity with this. You could also just have like a scenic photo in the background, stamp the Roman numeral clock face on top, have that shaker feature in the center. Here's another one in the beautiful burgundy pinks. Love all the different color combinations and ways that the clock face was paired on there, or just using the sentiments. Here's another one, super, super gorgeous. Let's bring this one up here. This is a really large project, but what I love about it is you can just use bits and pieces of it. If you wanted to just utilize parts of it, here's utilizing both clock and timepieces, and those just slide out of the pocket. This opens up, and you have that timepiece cluster with the flowers. Now, all the papers that you're seeing were from the Moments in Time paper collection. Such a beautiful kind of elegant vintage touch to it. Now, before I show you that paper, you need to see this. This is such a beautiful classic piece paired with the classic roses. Has a chain coming down. Just love how that has those vintage burgundy pinks and kind of that rose hue with the Roman numeral clock. So tell us what you love about this collection in the comments below. The papers are so, so pretty. I just pull this up so we can see what we're looking at. Lots of beautiful burgundy, kind of a purplish, pinkish hue to it. This is one I would grab too, because you're going to use this over and over. So have fun creating with the Moments in Time collection. Now, I promise you these Moments in Time pieces will not be annoying like that alarm clock that wakes you up in the morning. You'll have so much fun creating many different variations from cards to altar pieces using your creative imagination paired with these tips and techniques. Now, if you don't have the Moments in Time collection yet, I've added the links below for quick and easy ordering. Thank you so much for joining me today. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to get subscribed so you won't miss out on the next videos. We'll see you next time. Bye.